It's Craggy's Connacht Rugby Podcast. We're in the stadium here in Brive. I'm sitting beside Niall Sheil in the press box as we're ready to rock and roll on Galway Bay. But Niall, it's looking like a perfect night for a game of rugby.
Oh man, what a night for a game. Now it's cold, but that pitch looks spectacular. It's in really good nick. It's not cut up at all. There's no wind. It's cold, like you were saying, but yeah, I think it's going to be a great night for a game. Hopefully we'll see a cracker.
Yeah, much like the last one that was here, very similar conditions, 38-21 or 38-31 it was near the end, and hopefully we'll have a similar result with a bonus point win for Connacht. Who are you looking at for specifically tonight from a Connacht point of view?
Young Murray in the second row, Darren Murray. Delighted to see him. Can't wait to see Samuel going. Actually, he was so late. He was late out onto the pitch there. I thought he'd got a bit of a knock or something. Delighted he's there. Just to see these young fellas get a go. I really think they have an awful lot to offer. So yeah, happy about that now.
Excellent. I'm just looking on the monitors here, and there's a lot of quite a few of the Connacht clan are here. They're on the TV monitors now. I'm not sure they're aware of that, but there must be nearly 100 of them around. So we should get to hear them at some point during the night. And actually, I was down chatting to them a little while ago. So let's hear what they have to think about this game. We're down. It's an hour or so before kick-off. We're down in the bowels of the stadium in Brive. What are we expecting, John?
I think we're expecting a bit of crack out there. I think that the Bungie, Sammy, Paul Boyle, Pepe, they're going to be a bit of fun. Maybe high scoring, but I do think we have enough to win it. I said that with a few pints in me, but I do think we still have enough to win it.
Okay, well the question is, did you put money on it?
At the odds they're going on, I know we messaged you online. You couldn't. No, not enough. 3-1 on. No, and it's funny. The 2 weeks in a row,
yes,
we've been odds on favourites, which in my short 28 years here in life, we haven't seen. It's just crazy odds. Couldn't bet. But I do think we have enough. Bungie back is huge.
Yes.
I do think the puppet threat is Sammy. Their wings are probably between Dodgy. I think we take them. As Shane said, Adam Byrne could be a man that could really turn on the afterburner side and take them on. And 15 minutes, first 20 minutes, if we're going to hold them, take them on. Yeah. If he has scored in twice, our set piece is good, so onwards and upwards.
Exactly. Shane, you're feeling the same?
Yeah, it's same. It's literally, as I said, we can go out there. I think the boys can do very good tonight if they keep the head screwed on.
Final word from Pinky.
I've been analysing their line out, Alan, and they're going to be using a big net. I hope our guys are prepared for that, is all I'm saying.
Before we finish up, you have to give Niall his due here.
You've got the beautiful green shoes worn by leprechauns, no doubt, followed by the fabulously ironed, look at that sharp iron trousers there. Always got the green, lime green socks. Biffo's got involved, but it's this camel skin, fabulous green. I assume it's a camel skin coat. Where did that come from?
ASOS.
And with that,
I actually was so close to actually buying 2 women's coats and getting a dressmaker at home to stitch them for myself, and then I seen this, it's like I had to get it. But it's such a colour match to the actual suit as well.
It's perfect. Have a look at that on social media, folks. ASOS doesn't do it justice. Okay, I have to say I'm looking forward to Adam Byrne continuing his record of, I think he scored 7 tries in 11 European games, including last week for Connacht, and I'd love to see him get another 1 or 2 here tonight, because I'm just looking at himself and Jimmy Kilgallen are pretty big men, and I don't think the Brive lads are quite that tall.
They don't look it. They don't look like maybe they aren't as physical. A lot of French wings, or a lot of the wings that the French use, unless they're Fijian, tend not to be that physical. So I'm really looking forward to see Adam Byrne. Hopefully he gets a few high balls he can contest, because he's look at him out there, he's some athlete.
All right, okay, we're about 15 minutes to kick off. It's now gone down to 1 degree centigrade. Let's hope it doesn't freeze too hard while we're sitting here doing our commentary. But we'll talk again at half time, because I won't get to talk to you at 20 minutes because I'm actually commentating on Galway Bay tonight. But we will talk to you at half time.
It's picked up by Hawkshaw. Hawkshaw's pulled down. He's turned on his back, I think, on the line, and he has got over the line. Marmion feeds it to Tom Daly. Tom Daly is in for the try. Nice work by Daly. He turned back inside as he got the try, got the touchdown. That is good physical play. Marmion has got it out. It's a bit of a high pass to Daly. Now Connacht spreading it out. Conor Fitzgerald, lovely flick pass out to Kilgallen. He's got an opportunity to go for the corner.
It's half time here in Brive, and the reason you hear people clapping is poor Gavin Thornbury's been stretchered off the field just on half time. He's got his leg strapped as though it might be a leg injury, but it doesn't look too good. And we also had Paul Boyle taken off the field with his shoulder in his jersey with a strapping. But let's get back to the actual game. Connacht are leading 21-3, but they probably should be 42-3 up at this stage.
Yeah, should have the bonus point by now. It's just a bizarre game. There's a couple of outlets up here behind us, and they're doing their nut in. You can see why this is the first place that declared freedom from the Germans in 1940 odd, because they're angry. But yeah, Connacht are doing enough now at the minute. They're 3 tries ahead, but they cannot sit back. Should be 4 try. Gilt-edged opportunity there. They lost the ball off the back of a ruck. Criminal stuff, but they're kind of doing a lot of great play as well. Jeremy Kilgallen scores another amazing try. And Adam Byrne has really got into the game today. He looks really confident. Love to see him getting on a short ball. Should be a bit of space opening up.
Well, there should be space opening up, because they were down to 13 men at one stage, and Connacht didn't look as though they wanted to play against 13 men because they tried to kick the ball away. Abraham Papali'i yet again has a red card. Now Ratuva went off with a yellow card, and I thought Ratuva's hit on Hawkshaw was a lot worse than the hit that Papali'i did on Hurley Langton. What was your thoughts on it?
I don't know. They're both chronic. I mean, I thought TT's one was borderline on Paul Boyle as well, to be honest with you. I actually didn't think it was borderline. I thought it was a penalty, but I can't get over what's happening here. No wonder they're at the bottom of the top 14. Everybody's angry. Everyone.
Well, there seemed to be, like, that last sort of 10 minutes there, they actually tried to play a little bit of rugby, and it looked as though they all wanted to play for the first time. In the first 25 minutes, it looked as though there was 3 of their players who wanted to play, and the rest of them were just running around, and Connacht were making such hard work of it. I just, like, Connacht got the ball 3 times when Brive were down to 13 men, and kicked it every time. Like, why weren't they running the ball? At one stage they had a 4-on-1 overlap, and they kicked the ball away. I don't know. There's something different about the Connacht attack this year that's very disappointing.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. I don't know why they're kicking it. I thought they should stress them a bit more. I think maybe the crowd, albeit there's only 4K here or something, have gotten into the refs' heads, gotten into their own heads. They just if they just play the phases, I think they'll be fine. But just and drag them around the place, because the black smoke will be coming out of TT in a few minutes, because he's not going to last the pace.
No, I don't think so. There's just so many strange things in this half. Hopefully we'll get a better game of rugby in the second half, and we'll talk to you again at full time. With a bit of luck, Connacht will have a bonus point win.
And they've won that, and they're starting to drive it forward, and they're walking it forward. They were very patient in the first half, taking their scores, but the try is in.
Shane Delahunt at the back of that. Okay, it's full time here in Brive. Connacht have got the bonus point win with a 31-24 victory in the end, but wasn't the performance in the second half we might have hoped for, because it looked like Brive were going to come back and snatch that. Niall.
Yeah, they might have deserved it as well. It was really bad, poor performance the second half, for 38 minutes of it anyway. We weren't protecting the ball at all. It was just bizarre game. I'm struggling to put into words what I thought of it.
My biggest issue, and I got really frustrated with it, Connacht got their bonus point, let it try in, which is a bit silly, came back down the field, had an opportunity to kick to the corner, and kicked over the post. And Brive took that as, wow, these guys don't think they can score a try against us anymore. And then young Rafi, the young 18-year-old, was fantastic when he came on the field. But yeah, that was pretty disappointing from a Connacht perspective. And it's amazing to say that, considering we got a bonus point win.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what to say. He was fantastic when he came on, all right. But Oisin Dowling had a fantastic game. I suppose I better pick the positives. Oisin Dowling had a fantastic game. It was great to see the two Murrays carve up the pitch. Really disappointed with other aspects of the play, but hey, you know, it's a bonus point win, isn't it? And that's the most you could have hoped for here. So yeah, let's leave it at that. You know, lads got game time. A few lads are going to get kicked in the arse, let's say, and probably well deserved. So
yeah. You know what? It's -2. I'm frozen, and I think we will finish this conversation tomorrow in the airport when we're having a nice cup of coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we can finish this conversation. But now let's go to the post-match audio.
Andy, are Connacht ever going to get a win where they just make it nice and easy when they're cruising along and suddenly Brive come back into it, and that got pretty squeaky at the end, but it's 5 points?
Yeah, welcome to French rugby, innit? And we just said that. We went up, 28-10 at one stage, and then to 31-10, and the game should be dead. They're down to 14 men. But we gave away some silly penalties and we got them back in the game. But at the end of the day, we come away with 5 points, which is job done, and move on to next week.
At times out there, Connacht were playing very well. The forwards seemed to get a lot of domination. They were winning a lot of turnovers, and that gave them a lot of go-forward ball. And the backs then got involved with 3 really decent tries in the first half. They seized that opportunity.
Yeah, I was really happy with our forward pack. I thought some of the performances of our back row in particular were outstanding. I thought Seamus Hurley-Langdon, Oisin Dowling, young Darren Murray did a great job. But the whole forward pack, you know, big compliment to our line out. That's an opposition that is stealing more ball than anybody in top 14 rugby. We had a couple of line out turnovers, but it was our doing, and not straight, sloppy delivery off the top. I don't think they stole any of ours. So really clever from our line-out callers, Deegan, Senecal, our coach, Gav Thornbury calling, Niall Murray calling. I thought they were sensational in that area. But yeah, listen, there was a lot of really good stuff out there, but a bit too tight at the end.
Well, it made it exciting. It was a bit of a harem-scarem game. The red card, Abraham Papali'i again. I mean, we knew it happened with it happened to him at Connacht. There might have been one later on as well, which might have been a worse situation. Do you think did you play well enough against 14 men in the second half, or did they up their game because they were down to 14?
Listen, I think we played well enough. We've got the win. We've come over to France against their strongest team, and we've got a 5-point bonus point win. We definitely could have been better, but as you also know, we had a lot of frontline players rested there tonight as well. So for a lot of those fellas to come here, to have, for most of them, their first experience in France, away venue, crowd getting behind them, crowd getting upset with the referee, to come away with that win's a good win for us.
Peter Dooley, very impressive, showing us maybe how much he can do offloading the ball, good with his hands. Sam Elo making a start. You've already said Darren Murray. I mean, this is a tough place to blood them. Well, not Peter Dooley, but the other players. Yeah,
Darren getting his first start, Sammy getting his first start. Fitzy hasn't had many starts at fullback. We had a lot of newness out there, if you like. So we had Kieran Marmion, who had been crook all day, and we managed to get him to half time. I thought Colin Riley did extremely well when he came on there in the second half. So yeah, lots of newer faces. Kieran Booth, after Paul Boyle went off, you lose your captain after 20 minutes. That's tough, but Booth, he comes on and has 60 really good minutes at rugby, and that's the first time. It's the second time he's had minutes this year, so I thought he did well. So again, the depth of the squad continues to build. We'll wait and see how Paul Boyle and Gav Thornbury are, but both didn't look too good, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that is a worry. Obviously, the injuries to them. Kieran Marmion, is that illness?
Yeah, he was just crook all day, mate. He was in bed all day, but that shows you his toughness. He insisted that he wanted to play, so we gave him 40 minutes. You could probably see after about 20 minutes he was looking for his other lung, but he got through 40, and I thought Colin Riley came on and really picked the pace of the game up.
David, it's a tough place to come and win, get a bonus point. They came back at you. What was the atmosphere like out there? Because the crowd, it was pretty frenetic. There was a lot of noise coming from a very small crowd, and it's a different atmosphere in France.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think a few of us got a bit of a taste of it in pre-season when we went over to play Cast, and there was a good atmosphere at it, and we came around on a kind of tough side of the draw with it, with the results, so we kind of saw what it was like. Well, anyway, I got a glimpse of what it was like when the team's going well, and you could see last night, you know, when we were on top of them, we were doing well. But it just shows these French teams, especially in France, that you give them a glimpse and everything just turns so quickly. So I think it's a good learning for us all, kind of going forward. And you know, when we're in, and hopefully when we're in France again, that we just, you know, we kind of limit those opportunities for teams when we're on top. So yeah, it's a good learning, but again, as you said, coming away with a bonus point, you know, I think it's something to be really happy with, especially going into the Interpros in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the focus now. Ulster next Friday night, and then Leinster on New Year's Day. So it's sort of, you know, Europe is gone and it's back again mid-January, but now you've got to get ready for that. It's really time of the season when games just keep coming one after the other.
Yeah, it is, and they're kind of, these are the games that you want to be involved in, and I think, you know, these next 2-3 weeks and going into back into Europe then it's huge, you know, like every week is a big week this going forward. So you know, it is really really cup rugby in a good way, that you know, everyone's looking forward to it. You know, like, what more do you want at Interpros around Christmas time, and there'll definitely be an excitement building from Monday. So yeah, it's a great, you know, there's no other ways to talk about it than that.
And yourself, how would you've had 2 starts now without half. How did that go for you? Did you feel overall you've come out on the plus side?
Yeah, no. Anytime you get a, you know, 2 starts in out half, you definitely come away from it better. You know, it's such a funny position in a way. So yeah, I was delighted to get, you know, 2 starts in a row there, and you know, obviously played a bit more at 12 the last little while, but just to kind of get that, you know, get the feeling back at 10 was brilliant. So yeah, just kind of happy to have put my hand up wherever I'm needed. So
David, thank you for your time.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Okay, we're back, folks. We were it was just a grinding of some coffee you heard there as we're in Enfield. We tried to do this recording in the car with Linley and Packy, but yeah, the car was making too much noise, so I'm just here with William, and we're on the recorder that was saved by the 2 Kierans, Kieran from Offaly and Kieran from Paris, who saved this recorder because I left it behind me in the bedroom in our hotel in Paris. So thanks to the guys for that. We're going to finish off the pod with our thoughts on, now that we've had a night's sleep and a trip on the plane, and chat to 1 or 2 people as we toddle along in the airport, what we thought of last night. I think we're basically saying, yeah, if we were given that beforehand, William, you'd take it without the injuries.
Yeah, you would take it. You'd take a win in France and you'd take a bonus point. That's what they came to get, and they got it. Once again, it's another slightly incomplete performance by Connacht. There was bits of that were really, really top class, and there was bits that weren't. Brive should never have been let back into the game, and I think that would be the message that maybe Connacht will be given at the review on Monday, that they had them and they let them back in. I think part of it was, and I think we mentioned it in commentary, it didn't seem as though there was a lot of leadership out there, but then we couldn't identify who the captain was, and it did seem as though the players weren't quite sure either. Yeah, it's tricky when you lose both captains to injury, because Gavin Thornbury had taken over and then he went off, and there wasn't a lot of maybe experience, and you know, but they got the bonus point early in the second half, which maybe wasn't a good thing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know quite then whether to stick or twist. But the injuries are a big concern. I thought Brive were a disgrace last night. I thought there was a level of brutality there that wasn't required. It was hitting for the sake of hitting.
It was like an old style. It was like we were back 20 years ago when you used to come to France 20 years ago and they tried to soften you up, especially when you came and started so well, because Connacht did start incredibly well.
Yeah, but that's gone out of rugby, Alan, and I think the referee made a brave decision to send Papali'i off. Maybe that could have been a yellow, although apparently when it's looked at again it couldn't have been. But Ratuva could have been sent off for...
Should have been. I thought Ratuva was far worse than from what we saw of Papali'i's one.
Yeah.
Because the screen quality wasn't quite what we would have liked. But,
no,
you know.
And then TT Tuamaga's an ex-Connacht player, and he's heavily involved in both incidents that have left Paul Boyle and Gavin Thornbury with serious injuries. They still have to be fully assessed, but it's a shoulder injury for Paul Boyle, and for Gavin Thornbury it's an issue with his kneecap.
Yeah, early prognosis is not good. We're hoping that once they get a full assessment, the prognosis might improve, but it's not really good at the moment.
You don't want to lose players of that quality at all, but this is going to be a longer time frame in this. Both have been playing exceptionally well.
Yeah.
But to go back to Brive, they got more out of that game than they deserved.
Yeah.
Their attitude was lamentable, I thought, at times in the first half. Moving away from the issue of the thuggery, just their whole setup. Sanchez at out half did not want to be there. His contribution to the game was a penalty kick.
Yeah.
They're a home crowd, a very small home crowd.
Yeah.
Yes, they were vociferous at the referee, but they were also vociferous at their own players, and there were some very irate fans in the commentary. We saw them standing up and they were gesticulating, and it was directed at their own team.
It was.
And it's interesting that you have to talk so much about the team that's lost, but that puts a context on the game.
Yeah.
This was an inexperienced, it was a young Connacht side. You had players making their first starts. They did fine. Dara Murray looks a natural player.
Yes.
Sam Elo gets around.
Yeah.
Like most props, he seems to me to be a quick learner. He did well in the scrum. He was good in the breakdown areas. Not perfect, but there's the feeling that you have now with Connacht. The forward pack are going well. The backs are still a bit of a work in progress.
Yeah, very much so.
But the forward units, you've got players like Oisin Dowling changing position, playing first time six for Connacht. He had an immense game. Seamus Hurley-Langton had an immense game.
Yeah.
Paul Boyle was having one. Then Seamus Hurley-Langton went to 8 at times.
And looked as though he was a natural at 8. He really did. Like he was making great ground. He was picking the ball off the back of the scrums beautifully. The scrums went well. The lineouts were almost perfect, and that's against one of the best defensive lineouts in France.
Yeah, there is a lot to like there. They've talked for a long time about getting a pool of players. The fact that they've lost 2 of them now for what I feel will be a period of a number of weeks. This isn't going to fix quickly. We'll test that again, but that's what you need.
Yeah.
The backs, maybe not so sure. It's just not quite happening. And
having said that, the 2 wingers were superb, I thought. And Adam Byrne is really growing into playing rugby again and looked really hungry and looked really up for it. And if Kieran had seen where he was when Kieran Marmion was making the break, and by the way, Kieran was taken off at half time because he'd been ill all day and he was wearing a mask on the plane, so he's still struggling. So he did very well to keep himself going at that stage. If he'd seen Adam Byrne, he was running a beautiful line behind him and could have popped it to him. And then Kilgallen took his try fantastically well, and they look serious operators, the pair of them.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Adam Byrne was taken off after 48 minutes. They are not rushing this guy. I think the inference was that when he came down, he was badly knocked about, and they needed to get him right, and they took their time. They didn't force him, they didn't push him. That's a clever decision, which could pay huge rewards in a few weeks' time. I stood beside him today. I'm very short, as people will know, and I thought, wow, he could play in the back row.
Well, himself, on one stage before in the warm-up, himself and Kilgallen started to have a chat together. I'm looking at him going, that's a second row pairing I'm looking at there, not a pair of wingers. They're two very, very big men, but my God, can they move?
Yeah, they can shift, and they've got the physicality. Byrne had a lovely little kick through.
Oh, yeah, and yes, he can read the game really well. He seems to be able to see things. He defends incredibly well. I think that there's a big thing there. We just need to figure out the midfield. The midfield, we haven't quite got the what's the word I'm looking for here? Chemistry. Haven't quite got the chemistry right in the midfield. So 10, 12, 13. I think they're still playing around trying to figure that out. And once they get that right, we could be an incredibly dangerous team because the pack are just so good.
Yeah, the amount of ball that was stolen last night, you won't do that against most teams. That shows how poor Brive were. Yeah. But it's still a skill to do it and use it and just keep the pressure on. And I'm going to bore everybody again now by saying my old line, winning fixes so much. It gives confidence and you find ways to do things that you don't do when you're losing. Brive haven't won a game of rugby since September, I think.
Could be, yeah. Certainly early October if it isn't September, and it's a long time, and you could see it. I don't think I've ever been at a game where the home team were so slow off the marks. Actually, they finished the game the way I thought they were going to start the game, inspired by their 18-year-old out half, who I thought looked, if he can stay fit and nobody gets at him too early, he could be playing for France in a very short period of time. I thought he was incredible.
Yeah, he was, and yes, Rafi came on at out half. Sanga was the replacement scrum half. They were a joy to watch. And we have to, when you're watching rugby, you have to see what the opposition's at as well. I hope they come and go to Galway. I think Connacht will get 5 points in Galway pretty easily. But I hope they come and get an opportunity to show what they can do, because there was a real bit of class to that, and that did change the way the game went.
Yeah.
I'm not saying if they'd come on earlier it would have made a lot of difference. I think Connacht, if they'd really had to, could probably have lifted it up again, but they didn't quite get back to the right pitch, and then they were...
And that'd be the slight worry about when Brive come here. We're already talking about we're going to get 5 points. You still have to win the games. You still have to have the right attitude. You still have to go out with the right attitude, because Connacht dropped 4 or 5%, and Brive almost got to the point where they were drawing that game.
They won't even get to that level in Galway, Alan. They will probably fly in on the day to Shannon, jump on a bus, drive up on the bus, have a bit of lunch, play the game, get back in the bus, go back to Shannon and fly home, and it'll just be a fixture for them. That's what I'm calling. Listen, if that goes wrong, you feel free to...
Well, we'll know about the team they pick. We'll have a look, because that was almost as strong a team as they could pick last night. Certainly their backs, that back line was more or less their first choice back line, or pretty close to it.
Well, it certainly wasn't. It certainly didn't work. There's an undersell with Connacht sometimes, and we're as guilty of doing that. But I base comments on what I'm seeing and results. So I'm back to this thing about winning again.
Yeah.
Going to France is never easy. It should have been a lot easier. That's the thing that Connacht have to bear in mind. They should have put 50 points on them.
Yeah, and the stats back it up. 4 tries from 14 entries. It's not good enough.
No, that's barely 30%. That's poor, and that shows that the backs aren't gelling, and they need to fix that, because the likes of Ulster and Leinster will not give you 14 opportunities.
No.
To get into their 22, and you have to be more clinical. There is a slight concern as well. The forwards are inclined to hold on to that ball a bit, and I think there needs to be... I think maybe the forwards are thinking, I'm not sure if we trust these guys, so we'll keep it and we'll keep it and we'll keep it. And then they made some errors. And the errors are more decision errors.
Yes.
They're not errors of... there's the odd one where somebody knocks it on and they drop the ball, but it's actually making the right decision.
Yeah.
We've tried 3, let's move it. Let's move it left. It's just that isn't coming naturally to them yet. It seems as if they have to think for that extra little play to get it done.
But I think that's coming, because I think if you look at our basics now, the scrum is as solid as a rock. The line-out was fantastic last night. The speed of ball we were getting from the rucks was incredible. And you're sort of going, okay, yes, we might say the Brive weren't up to it, but you still have to do it. You still have to be hitting it the right way and have the right angles, and they were doing an awful lot of that, and they're getting better and better and better. And then, as I say, we just need to get that chemistry right in the midfield, and I think once they get that, it could be quite dangerous, because Ulster is going to be a massive test, depending on how they get on today when they're matching Dublin, that they've had to move due to the weather, because they could be coming to us on three huge defeats.
Yeah, and coming down with Europe, another busted flush for them. I think the last team you'd want to play away from your home ground in front of nobody is the European champions.
Yeah.
And I think La Rochelle will be hard. You'll know the result by the time the podcast goes out. But Ulster coming here with 3 defeats is it's a tricky one. But Connacht's got to look at that as an opportunity. It's a home game. It's that the sport's going next Friday night. They've got to say that if they want to be competitive in the URC and they want to get involved in playoffs in the URC, they got to win that game.
Yeah,
you got to win your home
Absolutely.
games. They have 2 vital games then in January. Well, they've 3 home games in January. They've got Brive. I've already awarded them that one. But they have the Sharks and they have the Lions coming. They're must wins. For Connacht, have got to win every home game now.
Yeah.
And they've got to throw in some away wins as well. And they are winning and they're finding a way to win. But at some stage in a game, you won't just do it by having won the previous game. We want to see a little bit more. The possession is quite good to very good.
Yeah.
And they just got to get a bit sharper. I have a suspicion that Tom Farrell is a key man in that, in the centre. And I'd like, Mac Hansen, if he's there, use him. Create a bit of chaos.
And then you've got Adam Byrne and/or Jeremy Kilgallen, massive weapons. That's 2 tries in 2 games.
Or John Porch.
And you've Porch as well. So
or Byron Ralston. I mean, there are people there who can feed off that.
Yeah.
So the challenge is to keep getting better. If they take a backward step next week against Ulster by not winning, then it's going to be really tricky to see how you get the number of wins they need. They can still do it, but you'll have less wriggle room.
Yeah.
So
the only thing is that other teams everyone's beating everybody else still. There seems to be, there's the top 5 or the top 6, and then it's the 7th and 8th are all fighting amongst each other, from 7th down to 12, maybe 13, are all very, very close together. So there still is an element of that, but I agree with you. I think they have to win next week.
Yeah, I think it will be a statement win.
Yeah.
As well, and I think then that sets them up to go to Leinster and
have a free go.
And that's not just say, sure, we're not going to win, so we may as well give it a go. Actually, go and see if they can put some pressure on Leinster.
Yeah.
And they may not come out on the right side of it. But
there's no pressure on them.
There's no pressure. The pressure is actually on Leinster, because Leinster's set this standard of just winning and not losing.
Yeah.
And I think deep down they always are a little bit nervous of Connacht.
Yeah.
And they admitted when I was talking to James Ryan a few weeks ago, they were thrilled to get that 10-0 win.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest game they've had all season.
Well, if Caelan Doris doesn't grab Caelan Blade's arm as he's coming in, and Caelan Doris does come from an offside position, because I've been back to look at it and he wasn't part of the ruck, so he was offside. But Mac Hansen was true. It was 7-0 at the time. The ball gets turned over, they get a penalty, it goes 10-0. That's a 10-point turnaround.
Yeah, it is. And you've got to hold on to things like that. But there's definitely, the forwards look a really solid unit. They've got to keep pushing on.
And be patient. Be patient. Wait for the backs. Just keep that patience. Keep working. Keep putting the pressure on the opposition, and keep going. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's leave that there. We've got a big game coming up next week, William. We're going to have Lindy on the Midweek podcast. We'll do that on Wednesday, and that is for our patrons. So if you want to support the podcast, we've got our podcast on patreon.com/CraggieRugby, where we do a midweek review and preview of the next game. We also get an interview with the coaches after they've picked the teams, and we got other bits and pieces, some more audio that William got in South Africa. We've just been doing some work on that over the weekend, some cracking interviews with guys like Jack Ainger, and a whole scrummaging. For anybody who loves scrummaging, there's a good in-depth one just about scrummaging between Jack and William, which was a really enjoyable listen. So we've got plenty there for our patrons, and we have some Craggy hats that we have now, beanies that are now available, limited supply. So if you want to get involved, go to patreon.com/CraggyRugby and support us. Okay, so don't forget to join us next week after we've taken on Ulster on Friday night in the sports ground.
Loose, cut it loose, break out or nothing changes. Sad